Hello, my name is Ashley Luna Espino. Thank you for coming to my 2014 Science Symposium entry. My question is, what concentration of salinity is necessary for an egg to float? The research was, density is a way to measure how tightly packed an object is. Different types of waters have different densities. The saltier the water is, the greater the density. Comparing the density of an object to the density of a water will tell us whether or not the object will float. If the density of an object is greater than 1.00 grams per milliliter, it will sink. Buoyant force can also determine if an object will float or not. Buoyant force is caused by the difference between the pressure of the top and bottom of the object. Objects and fluids feel upward buoyant force since the pressure at the bottom is greater than at the top. Objects also feel a downward force because of the difference between buoyant force and gravitational force. If the weight of an object is greater than the buoyant force, it will sink. If the weight of the object is less than the buoyant force, it will either float or rise. My hypothesis was, if I put half a cup of salt into the water, then the egg will float higher because salt water has a higher density than regular water. Variables. My independent variable was amount of salt. My dependent variable was the height of the egg in the water. My controlled variables were the cup of just water, types of eggs, and type of table salt. The materials that I used were a notebook and a writing utensil, table salt, 9 cups in water, a spoon to mix the solution, measuring containers to pour the salt, and 9 eggs. My procedure was put room temperature water in 9 clear plastic cups. Label 3 cups just water, label 3 more cups 1/4 cup of salt, and with the last 3 cups, label them 1/2 cups of salt. Add the corresponding amount of salt in each cup. Stir the salt until it dissolves. Place raw eggs in each cup. Record the height of the eggs in the different waters. My data was just water. 1 inch, 1 inch, 2.3 inches. 1/4 cup of salt. 2 inches, 3.3 inches, 3 inches. 1/2 cup of salt. 4 inches, 4.5 inches, and 5 inches. In my graph, you can see 3 bars. The first bar represents trial 1, the second bar represents trial 2, and the third bar represents trial 3. Analysis of data. In my data, it displays the different trials I performed on the different kinds of waters. It shows that the eggs in the water with 1/2 cup of salt floated higher than the rest. After looking at my data, I see that the concentration of salinity that an egg needs to float could be 1/2 cup of salt. Conclusion. My hypothesis was, if I put half a cup of salt into the water, then the egg will float higher because salt water has a higher density than regular water. My hypothesis was correct because while performing my experiment, I saw that the eggs in the water with 1/2 cup of salt floated higher than the rest because it was in the water with more salt, and the saltier the water, the greater the density. After doing my experiment, my results do support my hypothesis.
Hello, my name is Aiden Bixler, and I will be showing you guys my Science Symposium for 2014/2015. Thank you.
My topic is what Xbox Kinect game is the best for exercise? My research was very interesting, in my opinion. First, exercise video games can increase your oxygen intake by a lot more than I thought. Your oxygen levels change most when you are exercising and moving around. So, you can see that when you are playing an exercise video game, your oxygen levels will rise. So in some games, heart rate and oxygen intake can be used together. This can be done with motion/heat sensors like Xbox Kinect. This can sometimes be used to measure how much exercise you've done in a certain amount of time. Horror games may not be a form of exercise, but if you get your heart rate up by playing a horror game and then play an exercise game, is actually easier to burn calories. This is because when you exercise, your heart has to warm up a little bit before you start to burn calories at a constant rate. By getting your heart rate up ahead of time, your heart doesn't need to warm up, therefore making it easier to exercise and faster. The best gaming system for exercising is the Xbox Kinect. People have made lots of exercise games for this system. Along with its heat sensors and heart rate regulator option, it's the perfect system to use for this project. This advanced technology is the right thing to use to exercise in the comfort of your own home. Kinect Adventures will win because it seemed like the hardest one and you're moving around a lot faster than the other two games. My independent variable is the game played. My dependent variable is the heart rate from the game. And some of my controls are participants that were in the experiment and the Kinect system. The materials that you will need for this experiment are an Xbox Kinect you can borrow a friend's, 3 exercise games for the Kinect, 3 or more participants, you can choose however many you like, a pencil, paper to record the heart rate, and a stopwatch.
In conclusion, my hypothesis was wrong. Thank you for watching my Science Symposium video.